Every stitch you see in the leather is sewn by hand, and all the helmets are crafted in our small workshop. We use real leather. We don't tan it ourselves because we're not about to start mining copper ore from the mines, but we strive for the most empirical and tactile approach possible to reconstruct the real artifact from a project, an idea, or a hypothesis. You can actually touch these helmets, turn them over in your hands, and understand them. From this, questions arise: why did they make these two small bumps when most helmets at the time were conical? There are conical helmets in figurative art, and these have plumes. In some cases, the plume even has an animal head, like the famous archer from Eucellus, who unfortunately disappeared. And from that, a more pragmatic idea came up that maybe this plume was part of the animal shown almost completely from face to tail. And so we placed the archer of Eucellus next to a stuffed fox that was brought back from the peninsula, where these plumes, this kind of decoration, are actually the animal's tails. It's interesting to note that this sort of feather or decoration is never confused with the use of horns. Either we have this plume or we have horns. They don't mix. The only exception is the androical bull of Nugela, which has both the plume and the horns. That's a bull. The boxer is always there. And then research done during this thesis focuses on the fact that boxers' gloves have a peculiar detail, an L-shaped guard. While reconstructing the Sagamata dagger, we noticed that the only known guard, because almost none of the Nuragic swords have guards. If they have guards, it's just a slight suggestion, more like a ricasso in opological terms, which is about weapons and armor. The only effective guard is that of the Sagamata dagger. So we did some research that resulted in several scientific articles, even with some colleagues, which found that the boxer in reality had some chest injuries described by archaeologists and forensic anthropologists as evidence of stabs or thrusts. We discovered that in the boxer's glove, there is this L-shaped guard, or gamma-shaped, because they probably used a Sagamata dagger, maybe for rituals. This would explain why they have a rectangular shield, and why some, although very rare, like the boxer from Seri, even have greaves. A boxer generally shouldn't have greaves. And then there's this whole discussion about the age and death timeline of those buried at Monte Prama, all very young, like they've almost completed a rite of passage. So there's this evidence that we mix with the reconstruction, and the reconstruction itself becomes a moment of research and understanding of what we're reconstructing, because others have reconstructed the boxes with studs, but in the original bronze figure, the studs aren't there. There's only a sphere with a guard underneath, and this guard has a spike. There aren't 20,000 studs. The other thing, the priestesses, like the famous priestess with the hat, known as the witch, the Thetis, the archer from Sarda, very similar to the archer from Estazili. And the archer from Estazili actually also has a chest plate made in the same way. And then there's the warrior from Sulcis, who's missing arms and legs. We've pretty much figured out what the greaves and gauntlets might have looked like. The famous warrior from Padria with those huge horns that aren't like real animal horns because they're too big. The shield reconstruction was also really distinctive with all its scale. The shield, its decoration, almost like what's found in some pintaderas. So that's another really strange feature. The swords, sometimes called throwing weapons, are probably actually votive swords. What weapons they used, because we can date the weapons a bit more precisely.